It's time once again for the Maple Grove City Report. I'm Dave Kaiser from CCX Media. Thanks for joining us along with Heidi Nelson, Maple Grove City Administrator. Welcome once again.
Thank you.
We have a meeting from February 22nd to talk about a 45-minute meeting. A number of items covered there. We'll get to that in a second. Also a lot happening in the city. We'll tell you a little bit more about the community center, some things happening there, and also other events coming up. Let's begin with the meeting on the 22nd. Nothing from the consent agenda was pulled, so we move to the swearing in of paid on-call firefighters. Great event for a big group of firefighters.
Yeah, so this was a nice event to recognize these new firefighters who've really been, through about an 18-month period of training. There's so much that goes into getting to the point where you can kind of be on your own as a firefighter at the department. So they go through becoming certified emergency medical responders, all of the fire training with Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2, hazardous material operations. So there's a lot that goes into this, and it takes quite a bit of time. So this is a big deal to kind of get to this point where you're no longer probationary. Chief Bush talks about when your helmet changes from probationary to the station designation, and that's a big deal for these new folks to the team. So the mayor was able to swear in Dylan Benoit, Ryan Hayberger, Brittany Knight, Sheila Manelli, Nick Northrup, Brandon Schuneman, Aditi Seeger, and Lori Thomas. So we're really grateful for these folks that have joined the Maple Grove Fire Department and giving back to their community in this way. And I know a lot of hard work goes into this, so it's a nice culmination of this swearing-in night.
And as always, families involved at that event too, so that was fun to see as well. You had a lot of people in the council chambers to be a part of that event. One public hearing on the 22nd, and this is an annual event that happens with the CDBG funds. Give us a little recap of what they are and where that money goes to.
Yeah, so this is our allocation of our community development block grant funds. These are funds that come down through the feds to the county to deal with housing issues in the community. And so this is the allocation that comes directly to the city. There are dollars that the county distributes that go to various housing or service programs as well. But our dollars that come to the city, about $132,000, and that's pretty consistent every year, shifts a little bit up and down. The money that goes to 3 different programs in the city, being the West Hennepin Affordable Land Trust, Hennepin County Rehabilitation Loan Program, and then we also use some of those dollars to help with rehabilitation of our scattered site housing program. We have 27 units of rental housing in the community designated for affordable units, and we use that money to reinvest in those. So that's our annual public hearing for that process.
Very good. Let's move to community economic development. A couple items there, some developments in the process. The first is Edison Apartments. Where is this located? And pretty good size, 248 units. Yeah,
so Edison Apartments is up off of kind of north of Menards and just due south of where the new 610 extension will go through. So starting to see a lot of development up in those fields up there in and around the 610 extension. So this is for concept stage, so this is the first look at it. Not a lot of architecture this time, really just kind of how the buildings would be situated on the site, road access would work, those kinds of things. So I think, this is kind of a mixed use area, and, in and around, there are a good grove of trees to the east and some wetlands in between this development and then 94, but, kind of situated up there in kind of a transportation corridor and then this mixed use area. So this one did get approval. We do anticipate that they'll be back, probably later this spring to get their development stage approvals. And then they did talk about getting under construction, towards the end of summer.
And a slight change in the comp plan to have this happen as well. Explain that for us.
Yeah, so this one transfers to mixed use from, I think it was high density, but mixed use allows a little bit higher density number of units per acre. And so I think staff and council looking at this one felt that, given where it was located in this mixed use area in and about kind of these transportation corridors, that it was an appropriate kind of an upzoning there.
All right, we'll keep you up to date as it moves along. Next item was Fox blocks, Briar Ridge East. And this is next to Heritage Christian Academy, if you know where that is.
Yep.
Property that's been there with one house for a long time,
Yeah.
but something's changing.
Yeah, so this is kind of one of those rural estates that have been there for many, many years. Used to, it's still fronted right on Bass Lake Road, the house there. And so redevelopment of this site, 16 twin homes, and then one single family home will be constructed on this lot. This was ghost platted back at the time when the area to the west of that was developed. To the west, there's other townhomes and twin home type development. So this is pretty similar to that. So we, knew that eventually, the road would connect through and this lot would likely develop. So Donna Homes bringing this one through. This was for concept stage and development stage approval. So this one will likely see some construction activity this summer.
Let's move ahead to some reports from staff, upcoming community and economic development items. Planning Commission, what's up next? When do they meet?
Yeah, so Planning Commission will meet again on February 28th. We'll have the Arbor Lakes Business Park Phase 2 Building B. So the Building A of Phase 2 is currently under construction there along Elm Creek Boulevard. So this Building B will just be to the south of that. So that kind of completes then Phase 2. And then we do have a residential variance. This is out in the Fish Lake area, so that one will be heard by the Planning Commission as well on the 28th.
And next month would be March 14th, double duty, that date for the Planning Commission, housing and rental housing work session. What will that include? Yeah,
so we had a townhome project, Weston Commons, that was in front of the Planning Commission at their last meeting, and there was a lot of discussion, as this is not an issue that's new to us. We have a lot of, townhome development, and some of it's coming forward as rental, and I think bringing, some concern to the Planning Commission out of not understanding maybe at the beginning, is this rental or is it going to be owner occupied? And I think really wanting to make sure that those home ownership opportunities are there for our residents. Oftentimes a townhome is kind of that first entry point for young folks or for people who are looking to own their first home, and by turning these over to rental, sometimes that can take that ownership opportunity out of the marketplace. And so we've had a lot of concern raised about that, a lot of discussion at the council level. So there was discussion about this second phase of Weston Commons. This one's up off 105th, just west of the Northwood Church development. It got tabled, and then it's coming back, and then we're going to have a bit of time with the Planning Commission ahead of time. City Attorney will be there to talk about, what do we have control over within the zoning code, and a lot of times we can't control whether it's rental or owner occupied, and a lot of times, it can get approved as and built as owner occupied, and then it can flip to rental as well. We've seen that happen over in the Avery Park development. So just kind of providing some information to the Planning Commission. Council's been extended an invitation to this as well, just to kind of talk about where we do have control and how we can take a better look at these townhome developments as they come through. So then that later that evening, the Weston Commons development will come back before the Planning Commission on the 14th.
Very good. Next, engineering and public works, and funny, the night of the meeting was a snow event. So
it was.
Give us the recap. Ken was chuckling, but things seem to be going well. How was that event for the city?
Yeah, I think we had 2 full plows for that event. That was kind of a long, extended period of snow, and we got missed on the first round. I think everybody was kind of bracing for 3 days of it, but yeah, a couple good plow events there, and I think it seems like everything went pretty well.
Looking ahead, street rehab public hearing. There's a change of date here, so people, if you've marked it on your calendar, a little change here. Why the change? When is it moving to?
Yeah, so this will be March 21st is our public hearing on our annual street maintenance program, and so this is the hearing for the project that's happening this year.
Right.
We also had some notices that went out about the 5-year plan for the program.
Okay.
This public hearing is really associated with this year's project. And we had a little bit of discrepancy between the notice that went out in the newspaper, and so the hearing is being pushed to the 21st. So if anybody, pick the later date. So if anybody got confused and was coming on the 21st, we didn't want them to miss it on the 7th. So that street rehab hearing, and again, that's for the project that's occurring this year, primarily in the area south of 694, kind of east of Hemlock in that area, a couple neighborhoods over kind of in that southeast corner of the city. So again, March 21st for that public hearing.
Final update from the meeting on the 22nd was your update, and the city and yourself keep an eye on the legislature. What is happening happening? What are some of the things you're paying close attention to?
Yeah, so we have 3 bills that we're working on for this legislative session. Of course, we had our $18 million bonding request for the community center project in last session. We had, bonding committee tours this past fall. We've had hearings last year, so I don't think we're going to have any more hearings on that one. It'll just come down to what ends up being in the bonding bill. A couple new things that certainly not new projects, but new asks of the legislature. We need just a little bit more money to get that 610 project over the finish line, and so this time we're going the transportation committee route with a $22 million bill to get that project finally completed. So we'll see how this, a lot of the surplus money as well as the new federal money that's come to the state shakes out, and hopefully some of that will be put into some of these transportation programs. And then we were thinking that we were going to qualify for the sales tax exemption on the North Metro Regional Public Safety Training Facility because there was existing language about police and fire facilities, but after much discussion with the Department of Revenue, it appears we need a special piece of legislation for that, so we'll be pursuing that. There is discussion at the state level and has been for many years about government paying sales tax, kind of that revolving door on that. There is a big fiscal note to that at the state, so we'll see what happens there if that exemption happens on the whole, but we're pursuing this in case it doesn't.
All right, items we'll keep you up to date on. So that's it from the meeting from the 22nd. Now let's take a look at some other things happening around the city, and let's go back to the community center.
Yeah.
A little more discussion here. Give us a little more background on the whole project, what you're working on for the city end of this, and what residents will be seeing in the coming months.
Yeah, so we've started to roll some of our communications and education materials out, both on social media, website. We've had some, news release coverage as well. So just kind of an overview of the project. The community center opened to the public in 1997. It is well loved. It is well used. We host over 650,000 visitors every year, and so we are at a point with the community center that we really need to reinvest. We've got some structural issues. We've got mechanical systems that need to be updated and replaced, as well as just resolving some operational challenges that we have in the building about how the uses are situated. So we had initiated a community engagement process that really came from our park system plan update associated with the comprehensive plan update back in 2018 to get feedback from our residents about what they value about the community center, and then maybe what they'd like to see expanded or renewed at the community center. So through that input, we've worked to come up with a plan, and it really it's a plan that invests, that adds or renovates about 312,000 square feet of space at the community center. It includes new swimming pools, more space for senior programs, expanded event and banquet space, some space for the arts. The arts community has always been something that we've wanted to make sure we attended to in this project. Some display space for the Historical Society, walking track, and hopefully some fitness class space, third sheet of ice, and then, as I mentioned, just some infrastructure pieces, structural and mechanical systems. So not an inexpensive feat.
Right.
And so the proposed or the estimated budget for the project is about $116 million. We have 2 different funding sources, primary funding sources that we're looking at for this project. One is the local option sales tax that we got approval from the legislature in the last special session to go and ask the question. So that raises about $90 million over 20 years. That's a half cent for 20 years. When the bonds are paid off, the tax expires. It can only be used for the community center project. So that ballot question will be, or that referendum will be on the ballot this fall in November for Maple Grove voters to decide if that's a funding mechanism they'd like to use for the community center project. As I mentioned, we also have an $18 million bonding bill into the state.
Right.
This really is a regional facility. When we look at the users of this facility, about 60% of our users that come in to swim are from outside of the city of Maple Grove. 40% of our seniors are from outside of the city of Maple Grove. So we really know that we're serving a broader population here at the community center. And so I think that's why it's been supported at the state level as well, is they recognize the regional aspect of this facility. So lots of information out there. We really encourage people to visit the website. We get a lot of questions from folks, and most most of the time we can direct them right back to the website, so we encourage people to try that first. growingtogethermaplegrove.org. And if you don't find what you're looking for there, or if it causes other questions, we're happy to help as well.
Very good.
So take a look at the website, and we'll continue to get information out there, and especially as we get closer, to election time frame and whatnot, we'll continue to provide information to the public.
Excellent. Something we'll be talking about all year, no doubt. Let's move on to some other things happening around the city. Speaking of fitness, Planet Fitness is in a spot that's familiar to many, but now a new use. Where is this?
Yeah, so this is at the shops at Arbor Lakes, kind of that east end cap there. Used to be Forever 21. Right. Last year, Maple Grove Parks and Recreation set up space in there for some of our exercise space programming. And so nice new addition to the shops at Arbor Lakes, and they celebrated their ribbon cutting last Saturday.
All right, here's some things to get you looking ahead to maybe spring, summertime. The first is the spring newsletter is out.
Yeah.
What will be inside?
Yeah, so lots of opportunities. We have our community survey coming up. So this is something we try to do about every 5 years. We ask a lot of the same questions every time so we can benchmark data about trends or how things are going in the community. A few more questions this year of interest. Of course, things about the community center project and about how that project would be funded. So questions there. And then we've also had interest expressed from residents about closed hauling. So organized garbage collection versus now you get to choose your garbage hauler. So we're going to be asking some questions about that survey as well. So there will be a statistically significant portion of that survey. So it'll be via mail.
Okay.
No more trying to call people.
Right. Okay. Very
Doesn't really
good.
work anymore.
Right.
So this will be by mail. So we'll try to capture, about 400 to 500 respondents that create that data set, that statistically significant data set. But there'll also be opportunities to just participate in the community survey online.
Very good.
Those data sets will be kept separately, separate, but we'll be able to get a broader set of data that as well. And so probably about April timeframe, we're looking to get that community survey out.
All right, so newsletter, a lot of information about that. And the website, again, is maplegrovemn.gov, so look for information there. Park and Rec busy right now with registration. What can we sign up for?
Yeah, so registration's open for all the spring activities and programs. It's on the city website, and it's we have a wide variety of programs for all ages, and you should have received that brochure in your mail as well.
All right, true sign here that the weather is changing. How about a farmer's market? That sounds pretty good, but it will be indoors.
It will.
When and where?
Yeah, you can't really trust the weather on March 10th and 24th, but Thursdays, March 10th and 24th from 3 to 6 p.m. at the community center. Guests will enjoy shopping from 25 vendors with a wide range of specialty products, and then we'll return to the outdoor markets in mid-May.
Sounds great. All right, there's our future thinking to warmer days. Let's go back to the cold weather days. How about coming up as we're recording this Saturday, Three Rivers putting on a big event. What's going on?
Yeah, so really exciting up at the Elm Creek Park Reserve. So Free Play Snow Day returns to Three Rivers Park District Nature Centers and Park Reserves this Saturday, February 26th. Free rentals on cross-country skis and snowshoes. Free activity passes for dog off-leash areas, cross-country ski trails, and archery areas. And then there's discounted rates on tubing, downhill skiing, and snowboarding. So information on the threeriversparks.org. It looks like it's going to be beautiful Saturday, so I think it's going to be busy up there at the Elm Creek Park Reserve.
I think there'll be a few people out. Yep, and it sounds like at other park reserves as well. So if you can't get into Elm Creek, go to another one and you'll find some fun activities. A few final notices about emergency information from the city. The first is something unique, emergency responder notification stickers. And maybe not what you think about. What are these? How are they used?
Yeah, so the police department has these stickers available that you could affix to your door or window just to alert emergency personnel, so whether it's police, fire, EMS responders. Examples of the stickers include providing notice that somebody with autism lives in the home, that there's somebody who's deaf or hearing impaired, maybe somebody with dementia or Alzheimer's, and then diabetic. Those types of situations can really, having those first responders know that ahead of time as they're walking into a situation really can help them to understand what might be going on and how they might want to respond and help those folks that might be in crisis. So if you're interested in getting those stickers, you can request them online on the city website or by visiting the police department in person.
We'll give you that website again in just a second here. The other, from an emergency standpoint, is something called Code Red. We've talked about this before. Give us a reminder of what it is and how we can be involved.
Yeah, so this is an emergency notification system that the city stood up in the past couple of years here, Code Red. It's free, there's no charge. You can go on, download the app, sign up to get notices from the city. We do really try to use this for true emergency type situations. So we don't want to flood people's phones with information that they may not want to receive. So it includes messages about emergency notifications. This might be missing persons, civil unrest, or other events that create a danger to public safety. General alerts, burning restrictions. We had a lot of that, or water restrictions this past summer.
That's
Hopefully
right.
we won't have that
Yes,
again
let's
this
hope
summer.
not.
Utility outages, water main breaks, community information about crime alerts, park and recreation updates, routine street repair, and utility work. So it's just a really great source for people to stay connected with the city.
All right, city's website, the place to find out about a lot of these tools through the city. That website, once again, is maplegrovemn.gov. As we look at that website, we'll look at the next meeting date as well, where Heidi and the crew will be busy. That is Monday, March 7th, 7:30 at the Government Center. Phone number again at the bottom of the screen, but that website right in the middle, we passed along a lot of information that will be on that website, maplegrovemn.gov. For Heidi Nelson, I'm Dave Kaiser. Thanks once again for joining us on the Maple Grove City Report.